is Jason J. Rock Houston, and you're listening to Catechist Magazine. We can be found on the web at www.catechist.com, and we're speaking with two of the members of a Los Angeles-based Black Sabbath Tribute called Sabbatha, Black Sabbath, and we're speaking with the lead singer, Sabbatha, and the bass player, Skull Buttler. And this is for our On the Record segment where we talk to musicians about their favorite albums by their favorite band. And in your guys' case, you've chosen to talk about the Black Sabbath album, Master of Reality, which was released July 21st, 1971, and it was a third studio release from Black Sabbath, so people just kind of have a time frame of where we're talking about today. So welcome to the show, and we'll start with you, Sabbatha. You're the lead singer of this tribute band, and I was curious, is this a band you formed, or it was an existing project?
Well, what happened is we were at first off, thank you very much for having us on the show. Really appreciate you.
Sure.
And I just want to do a tiny correction. We're called Black Sabbatha.
Oh, okay. Thank you. I'm sorry about that.
So what I was saying is, we were it was me.
Okay.
And Skull Buttler and Skull Iomi, and we were at the bar Petey's Place in Tarzana. Shout out to Petey's Place, great place for bands to play. And we were sitting around, and the guys were like, "Well, why don't we do a Black Sabbath tribute band?" And at the time, I was flummoxed. I was like, "Oh, a Black Sabbath tribute band. What should we call ourselves?" And so we were kind of like at a dilemma. So I walked away, went into the restroom, and I came out, and I was like, "Well, let's call ourselves Black Sabbatha."
Black Sabbath. Okay, I like that. And it was funny because what happened is the guys, they were like,
"It's got to be taken.
That name's got to be taken."
Yeah.
Gotta have that. I mean, it's so obvious.
It's
right?
so simple, and you know, I can't help but hear a slight English accent yourself there. So that's pretty cool that you guys would choose of all bands, Black Sabbath, being from England yourself, huh?
They're from Liverpool, you know.
Liverpool, wow. The Beatles, okay, yeah.
Well, there's some people from London, some people from Britain, you know, the other side of the world, you know, and some from the other side of the pond, you know, in Ireland, you know. Really, based is where it's all at. Yeah.
So how long have you guys been in the States? For most of your life, or just recently?
Oh, excuse me, 1 second.
We had
Nefarious just popped in. She wants to say hello.
Oh, go ahead. Hello there.
Yes. Always a whimsical one she is.
Okay.
Well, we're hanging in Dracula's castle, you know. Thank you for calling us over here.
Okay, yeah, and you know, I got to let you guys know right off the bat that I'm a huge supporter of tribute bands because first of all, as a fan, I've seen a lot of tribute bands over the years, and I like to say that it reminds me of rock and roll theater. A lot of times you'll hear people say, "Oh, you know, musicians that play in tribute bands are failed musicians. They're playing other people's." But like, what my experience has been like a lot of people is, I will go to these shows, and in some cases, the bands, they actually dress the part, and they try to look as much like the band and sound as much like the band as possible. And a lot of the bands do such a good job that, just to give you an example, years ago I seen this Guns N' Roses tribute called Hollywood Roses, and the guy in the band, he looked so much like Axl Rose from 1987 that when they burst into, you know, Welcome to the Jungle, I mean, it took me back to 1987 when I heard that song on the radio for the first time. I mean, they were that good, and that's probably as close as I'm ever going to get to see the real Guns N' Roses, you know. So that's why I'm a big supporter of what bands like you guys do, you know.
Well, let me say one thing about the tributes, because I know them very well.
Yeah.
Meaning that tributes, you know, not a failed musician, but more or less, you know, somebody that wants to pay, you know. I tried this out, you know, with Pat Benatar and then with UFO, and it was fun, you know, and realizing, you know, that you're not a failed, you're just really playing tribute to them, and I'm finding that these mates really reached out to me after playing these songs. You know, I've had Roger Capps reach out to me, and then Pete Way when I did the UFO, and then Geezer Butler reached out and, you know, became a fan of Facebook, you know, so it's kind of cool, you know.
Yeah, and I want, that's the point I'm trying to make here. that's the disillusion a lot of people, or the belief a lot of people have about musicians that play in tribute bands. And like I said, from my own experience, that just is not the case, because first of all, to get up on stage and be able to do what you guys do and play anybody's music, that takes a certain level, of talent. That's something I can't do. I mean, I can't play one musical note. Well, like I said, I'm much more of a music fan. So you guys do your thing, and I go and support it. That's what it's all about.
Well, I appreciate that. In my band, I like to tell people we are Black Sabbath with a twist. So I'm not trying to be Ozzy. I'm a character. What we did is we created a story. We're a concept tribute band, so
interesting.
We tell the story of the songs, and we are characters within the world.
I dig that. See, again, right there, that makes what you guys are doing a little different. First of all, it may not seem like a big deal, but one thing that definitely sets you guys apart from all the other Sabbath tributes is having a female, female singer.
Female fronted.
That's pretty cool in itself, and that's going to kind of, make you guys kind of stand out a little more. And so, I just seen you guys when I contacted you last week I just seen an ad pop up about your band, and I went to your Facebook page. Oh, this looks like a pretty cool thing. I haven't seen a Sabbath tribute like this. So, as they say, great job so far. I think you guys got really something special going here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Very much. It means a lot.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so now you say this is a concept where, like, okay, for example, where you play these songs and you kind of tell a story. So when you're telling a story about a particular song, is it more or less what the song means to you guys, or what your interpretation of a song is?
Well, what I did is so we created the story. We created these characters. I'm the high priestess of the God of the Dead.
Wow.
And what I'm doing is I'm trying to summon the God of the Dead in the forest, and my gods are guarding me. And something goes awry, and I end up getting a hold of Satan, and then Satan pretty much possesses me. And then throughout the show, I go through various personas to get myself back and use the magic of of Sid, who is the god of the dead.
Oh, wow.
To regain myself and free my guards. And it's basically a good versus evil story, and we're always interchanging different songs to fit the story.
The awesome essence of Black Sabbath, that we can't do without them, because they're fabulous storytellers of their own, which was the interpretation we came from it.
And yes, that's how I get my ideas for the stories. I look up I study the lyrics. I study the lyrics, and then what I do is I find out what the stories are about, and I interweave them into the show.
Pretty much the story creates itself.
Yeah. Now let me ask you guys, because another thing that kind of piqued my interest over years. When you're younger and you're just getting into music, you're not aware of what the songs are necessarily about, unless you even not necessarily aware of who wrote the songs, unless you take the time to look at the songwriters and that. But I was very interested in learning that most of those early Black Sabbath songs were actually written by, the lyrics were written by Geezer Butler, not Ozzy Osbourne. How surprised were you guys to kind of learn that Geezer wrote most of the lyrics?
It was fascinating that the writing became from the Iommi and Geezer, but we all know that Tony's been the man behind the guitar the whole time.
Oh yeah.
Where the mates from Black Sabbath have gone through major transformations in the 50 years plus they've been as the band, Ronnie, and then they had Tommy, and then they had Ian, and all those other guys that tried to be in the band as well,
And like you say, Tony Iommi's kind of been the one mainstay, and I think you're exactly right, Skull Buttler, in that a lot. The main Black Sabbath sound we got to give to credit really to Tony, because as I was reading, I'm sure you've heard over the years, a lot of the reason he plays the guitar the way he does and he tunes it down and everything is because he was in an accident early on in his school in his school career, and he had like the tips of 2 of his fingers cut off, and I heard he had to learn to play like a certain way because
I think he worked in a machine shop.
Yeah. And
his perseverance made it possible for him to let's do this, mate.
he got special fingertips.
yeah, because I was reading before he got the fingertips, like he had to learn to play a special way because when he would play the guitar, it was like so painful, but he had to learn a different way to play, and God loved it. God loved him for it in a sense because he's like the godfather of heavy metal. He's kind of credited with coming up with that heavy kind of doomy sound, you know?
Yes. Isn't that fascinating? A lot of times there's a belief behind with every seed of adversity there is something within it that will grow something phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm not sure how it happened for Geezer Butler, but Terry became a bass player because he was a guitar player.
Yeah.
So I'm just curious. Like me, I had with my old mates when we were kids, I didn't have a bass player, so we all drew straws. And of course, my stupid idea. And
Yeah. But now
I'm very grateful that happened.
Yeah. But I'm assuming, based on our conversation, that Geezer was a pretty big influence on your bass playing, huh?
Absolutely, tremendous.
To be in a tribute band, you need to capture the sound, and the fact that my guys are able to capture the sound is just...
Geezer Butler, that deep bottom, hard sound.
Yeah.
But then you got to go back to watching him on Don Kushner and on all the TV shows, with the mate Pete Way with UFO.
Oh yeah.
Major influence. Both those mates just love him tremendously.
Oh yeah, and that was a time where you could see stuff like that on TV, and if anybody wants to know what we're talking about, I mean, they used to have this it was called In Concert with Don Kirshner, old 70s rock show where you see all these great rock bands from the day. They'd be on late at night, and I've seen episodes, like you could go on YouTube. I've seen Edgar Winter on there. They got some great classic rock stuff, but they used to, back in the day, you'd be able to see all the great bands on TV back in the day, but they really don't have anything like that.
When you said you watched it live, all right?
Yeah.
You couldn't wait.
Yeah.
Until it came on, that was me, waiting for it to come on TV.
Yeah, and what's interesting is you listen to Black Sabbath from back then, and they were really probably the first real metal band, and to have that kind of doomy kind of sound, and it's interesting because you listen to Alice in Chains years later. They obviously came after Sabbath, but like if you put on this album, I was listening to Masters of Reality, kind of preparing to talk to you guys today, and a lot of those songs.
To step it up with the makeup,
Yeah.
People put on makeup, and then the Kiss band put on their show with fire.
Oh yeah, and see, Kiss took it to the more extreme than Alice Cooper, because Alice Cooper, he was the only guy in the band made up, and his band made up, but they still put on a great theatrical rock show. But
concept as well.
Yeah,
very much concept.
And it's very interesting because I've seen Alice Cooper over here many times, and he does a show very much kind of like what you guys are saying you do. That he takes some of these songs he's been playing for years, and each time he does a new tour, he designs a new stage show around these songs and has new stories to tell or whatever. But the guy is almost he's in his mid-70s. He's still getting up there on stage and doing his thing, better than ever.
I like to say age is just a number.
Yeah, exactly. And Alice Cooper has proved that. And like I said, he's in his mid-70s, and it's kind of funny that he's more in his prime now than he was in his younger day, because when he was much younger and just starting out, he was a heavy drinker, and alcohol really affected his performing back then. But he's on fire now just as much as ever.
I saw a video on Queensryche, and they did Operation Mindcrime, and that also was a bit of a concept.
Oh yeah.
Brilliantly executed. Absolutely.
Now let me ask you guys, in reference to your band, how many years has this band been together?
2018 we started this thing as an experiment, and then 2019 was pretty much a breakout year for us. So we only did 2 shows in 2018 just to say, hey, what do you think? And then 19 or 22 shows later in 2019, and then we had a bunch of shows scheduled for this year that canceled because of the COVID, you know?
Yeah, now, you guys played a recent show, didn't you? I think that's what I seen the ad on, or you have a show coming up?
And we played in Anaheim. We did actually a live show in front of people the night before with the Doll Hunt. Our world famous tour weekend, we called it.
Oh, okay. And what was that like? Especially, you know, like you said, for most of us here, not being able to get out there and play that had to feel like a great comeback, you know?
Well, it was fun to play in front of the people, absolutely, because the energy was there with all the people, you know.
Everybody was so supportive.
And wearing masks, mind you, they were wearing our lovely masks. We supplied them. We had plenty of masks to give to everyone.
Oh,
if they chose to, you know, it's up to them.
Now, you know, I've seen everybody coming out with these face masks. I mean, so have you guys, do you have like face masks of your own, like with the band's logo on it and stuff, or?
Absolutely. I think we were probably one of the first next to a friend of ours that was doing his. But we were, you know, at the same time, everybody's trying to get that market going, you know. What we're going to do, first you have to come up with the money, too, if you don't have
yeah. I mean, you got to do whatever to keep the band out there, at least keep a name and show them, we're out there doing it, but we're doing it.
You can get it right now on our website, blacksabbatha.com. At the top of the page, at the very top, just click on that link, and you get yourself a mask for only about $15. Threadless.com is our merchandise we use next to Teespring. We're trying them both out. These drop merchant companies that for the bands, you know.
Yeah, that's great. Now, like I said, you guys wanted to talk about the Sabbath album, Black Sabbath album, Master of Reality. Kind of interesting choice here. It's the third album, like I said. Now it's got like 7 tracks, so it's a very kind of short album, but they got some of the great classics like I Love Sweet Leaf, After Forever. So talk a little bit about why you guys wanted to discuss this album, or why this particular album had such an influence on you.
Let me start with this. Hold on. I'm going to let Sabbath take over, but I'm going to say this real quick. A little tease is because the show's going to start with that album, you know.
Oh, okay.
The 13th. So I'm not going to tell you what it is, but it's a major influence. Sabbatha really put a nice show together, starting with this album. So she's got us going into what?
Go ahead. Yeah.
Space.
Okay. Wow.
Okay, so Masters of Reality. The reason that one is so very alluring, let's say, is it's steeped in mysticism.
Okay.
The whole thing is steeped in mysticism. It's very, very mystical, and our show is on the mystical side, magic and just wonderful debauchery and whatnot. And Masters of Reality is steeped in a lot of that. Children of the Grave. We have Lord of This World, of course, everybody knows what that one's about.
Oh, yeah.
Into the Void. Just a little hint there. So everything is very, very mystical, very...
Yeah.
Lord of This World is pretty much a song about Satan taking over and...
It's a space man. He's a spaceman. Is it just on the planet, or is it universal? Really?
Oh, wow. Interesting. Yeah, and then I was curious, like Black Sabbath, when you hear Black Sabbath, people immediately think, oh yeah, they're so metal, and they were always, you'd see pictures of them like in early photographs, and they'd have like these pictures of the cross, and people didn't know if they were devil worshippers. There was that was belief for many years. Oh, they're devil worshippers. The cross. They're against God. And like reality, I know like Geezer Butler was practicing Christian, and I heard that's one of the things he wrote the song After Forever about was being Christian and what it was like for him. But I know part of their imagery was kind of playing with that dark image and having people not totally sure if they were Satan worshippers, but like I've heard Geezer talk about in interviews over a year where he'd say, "Yeah, we were kind of messing with the with the people in the press. They thought we were Satan, probably Satan itself, and we kind of went with that image, So how important was that to you guys when you were growing up? But hey, these guys are dark."
Well, as far as that goes, it was more of like, it was more of a lark. It was, they were partying and just and at one point, I recall, was it Iommi or was it Butler who had the dark image that visited him at the foot of the bed?
I think it was,
which prompted Black Sabbath.
Yeah.
I think it was Jesus. It was talking about the images that, and it was just haunting, and it was more or less the press, thinking about it.
Yeah.
They also they dabbled a little bit in mysticism. I mean,
really.
And
sounded like
and for the most part, it was based. It was kind of like a lark. They were like, oh wow.
Yeah, we'll let them think that. We'll go with that. Yeah. And it seemed to.
And then the crosses. The reason why they were all wearing crosses is because they were told that they were cursed. So
like protection.
Protect themselves. Yes.
Yeah, and it's interesting because they were two different bands. Like the original band that you guys kind of your band kind of covers, and then there's probably my next favorite was Ronnie James Dio. I mean, he kind of with Dio they took the band to another level because he was such a great songwriter too. But like
singer, his range and his style and just his power and magnitude.
I mean,
I don't think they all knew what they were going to get themselves into, but Ronnie knew what he was getting.
Oh yeah, I mean, but like when I hear Ronnie James Dio singing, I really believe I really believe we're in a world of demons and wizards and witches. I mean, he's just very convincing at what he does. A lot of his lyrics are kind of take you to another world, but it's a world you kind of believe in, or it's a world you kind of you believe every word he's singing. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, because he's so his voice and just his passion. He was very passionate. Yeah. And what I saw about Ozzy in Black Sabbath is he just loved to have fun. Ozzy just. He's a prankster. He likes to play around. He likes to do jokes. He likes to, and when you see him in concert, you just see how much he loves his fans.
Yeah, and you see, that's why I understand like the Black Sabbath tribute. A lot of the Black Sabbath tributes they have the same trouble, which is how do we you have to either say we're going to cover the Ozzy era, we're going to cover the Dio era because that's probably their two most popular eras of music, and Ozzy, let's be honest, Ozzy and Dio sound nothing alike, but you got to have some love for Ozzy because he's the original singer, you know what I mean? And even though he didn't write a lot of the lyrics, his voice at that time fit Black Sabbath for what it was. It was one of those bands where, even though like Geezer and Tony were writing most of the stuff, I mean, when they all come together, it made for some beautiful music,
Because they all grew up pretty much they were youth together.
Yeah.
Just very, very young and
with so many. What I like to say is there's plenty of Black Sabbath to go around.
Yeah.
Everyone can do their niche if they like, But I'm curious to see if anybody will pick up on the dehumanizer with Tommy,
Oh.
I'm just curious if anybody will go around to that era of the Black Sabbath. We like to dabble in the beginnings of Black Sabbath because that was where Ozzy was. We love Ozzy.
Oh, of course.
And I'm just curious how it would be with the Dio and the Tommy and the Ian if that ever comes around,
Yeah, well, you know what? I think part of a reason for that is you may or may not remember, but right when that Dehumanizer album came out, I don't know if you remember that they thought they're gonna have a pretty big hit with that album, and it was a pretty decent album for the Black Sabbath getting back with Ronnie at the time. But then, like when they came here to Los Angeles, I remember Dio not even showing up for that Los Angeles gig they had because at the last minute Black Sabbath decided.
It wasn't Tommy.
No, they ended up getting Rob Halford because at the very last minute Black Sabbath decided we're gonna go and open up for Ozzy at his show down the way, and Dio was like, I'm not gonna go open up for Ozzy, and so that's when that band kind of fell apart again, you know.
It's a back and forth thing, and
Ego will kill a band faster than anything, actually.
Yeah.
But it wasn't very, it wasn't moving. That's, people weren't really catching on with that one,
Yeah.
Ronnie wasn't interested. He wanted to do his own thing, the Holy Diver and all that. He and then there was the pressure with the album title, nonsense. They had to go through all that stuff. So change the band to Heaven and Hell and whatnot. So it just a lot of things during that time going on. How to keep up with all that,
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you as far as that being a great album and all, and I think the other guy you're referring to is Tony Martin, who he did several albums with Black Sabbath, like through the 80s and 90s, and he was always kind of Tony Iommi's right-hand man through that time. Whenever they needed a singer, hey, Tony, you want to come back to the band? And he was a pretty decent singer.
The sound of Ronnie,
Yeah, and the only sad thing about it is, like most fans, like we're talking, they either have love for the Ozzy stuff or Dio stuff. And even the band, Black Sabbath itself has kind of forgotten about all those albums they put out in the 80s and the 90s. But some of the stuff's actually pretty good,
Yeah, absolutely. As far as we're concerned in our band, we embrace it all.
That's good.
We dabbled a little bit with Dio. We had a house party and
Ronnie.
I sang a little bit of Heaven and Hell with our dear friend Dano from Band Danos, and it was a lot of fun. We had Heaven and Hell.
Wow.
Dancing. Yes, we had an angel, we had a devil, and they were corrupting me. And it was
4th of July, actually.
It was a lot.
It was a fun time.
Oh wow!
What are you going to do in lockdown?
Yeah.
I'm furthering the story, and maybe we'll dabble a little bit into the Dio realm with some of the songs I really do like a lot.
Oh yeah. That's cool if you were able to do that. I think people definitely want to go see a show like that. So and then talking also about Masters Reality that influenced some of these songs I've had over the years. I mean, Black Sabbath, if you can believe it, was even a band that influenced the Christian metal band Stryper, so much to the point that Stryper throughout their career, they've covered 2 Black Sabbath songs. I don't know if you're aware, they did a cover of Heaven and Hell, they did a cover of After Forever, and let me tell you, just...
After Forever, wow.
Yeah, Michael Sweet, I mean...
That one I want to hear.
I remember Stryper.
Yeah, Michael Sweet, let me tell you, he does a real mean version of After Forever. And like they also do a cover of Heaven and Hell. You guys can probably find that on YouTube, but it's some pretty monster stuff from a Christian rock band. But see, that's what I'm saying. Black Sabbath has influenced so many people over the years that you'd probably be amazed at just who they influenced.
I find it interesting when people gravitate to our band. We get 2 types of school of thought. We get the dark and doomy, oh you devil worshiper, blah blah blah.
Yeah. And
then we get once people realize we're good versus evil.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
The other school of thought.
See, from just what you're telling me, I would want to go see your show now even more. Just talking to you because I'll be honest. When I just kind of accidentally came across a Facebook ad, about a week ago, and I went on your page. Oh, this band looks pretty cool. Okay, they got a female singer. That's cool. And so my thought process went there. Now talking to you, I'll be honest. Your voice is a little enchanting. So I think like just even when you speak, and then I can imagine you're a pretty decent singer, so that brings an extra something to the show, and the fact that you don't look like Ozzy, if you know what I mean, you are a female singer. I mean, people are going to be drawn to what you're doing on stage, and that makes it a little extra special than just another Black Sabbath tribute,
We're just having fun with the bands we love the most,
It's a lot of it's funny because sometimes on stage I'll be I'm going to confess something right here.
Yeah.
When I'm on stage, sometimes I'm still working on the show.
oh, that's cool. I love to hear that. And and see, that's the thing is when people hear about maybe a female-fronted Black Sabbath tribute band, they're probably thinking, this must be fronted by a goth girl, but anything but that, And so I think again, people might go having one idea what they might get, and they're going to get something a lot better than even probably what they even originally imagined,
Our favorite thing really is to perform the show live in front of an audience. A live audience where I could actually, I absolutely love to interact with the audience. Yeah, we have a video when we performed at the Garden Amphitheater where we're in the locker room, and I was able to engage with the audience, and it was a lot of fun. I like the people to sing with, especially on War Pigs, the
We all know the songs, right? Everybody should be singing all the songs with us,
And some of our video recordings, if you check them out on YouTube, you could actually hear the audience sing War Pigs with us. It's great fun.
Oh wow! And
Exhilarating.
And then another Black Sabbath song I always love. It's not on this album, of course, but was Iron Man. I mean, do you guys perform that during your show?
Oh, well,
you might be surprised.
We might be doing it.
There we go.
At the Whiskey, December 13th.
Oh, okay.
Because we're always evolving songs in our show.
Right.
Try not to repeat ourselves all the time,
Right.
Even though there's songs there's so many songs to do,
Oh, yeah.
So you don't want to keep doing the same ones over and over because you want to make sure you cover the best of everything they got out there in their categories.
There are some songs in the show that do keep the foundation of the story.
Yeah.
And
it's fun, catalogs of the songs.
I work around it and enhance it, change it.
That's...
because I mean, to be honest with you, I like to do different things all the time because I get bored.
Of course. I mean, yeah. And I think you guys formed the band kind of at the perfect time because, I mean, there's probably even more of a demand now for a Black Sabbath tribute to that classic era of Black Sabbath because, I mean, up until a few years ago, you still had, Geezer and Tony and Ozzy out there calling themselves Black Sabbath, and doing their thing. But now that the Black Sabbath has kind of called it a day, and they're no longer out there touring, I bet there's even more of a demand.
Tributes out there, yes, sir. Jason, there's plenty of them out there, and we all on directories worldwide. Entertainment Worldwide, we're on tribute directories, clubs. Wow. We're out there on the solicit pages. We want to get out there. We want to see the world. We want to travel, playing this music, playing all kinds of music, and see the world. Playing music would be fun. And how much we love Black Sabbath.
And what I dig about talking to you guys is, a lot of times when you're talking to a band, you'll like doing something like this. I typically would interview like. One person. Oh, I'm the one that does the interviews, or I'm the spokesperson. I dig the fact that like when we set this up, that you said no, I'm gonna have my bass player with me, and he's gonna take part in the interview. And I've done that a few times, but it doesn't happen too often, to be honest. And I dig it because I could just hear how much love there is between you guys, as far as being band members and that, and having a love for one another. And it's not one person in the band trying to take all the credit, or it's all about me. I dig the fact that you guys seem to have such a great chemistry and everything.
Well, I have to tell you this, as far as all the members go, every member in the band contributes tremendously our guitarist, he supplies us with a studio. And
Leia.
A Leia.
Our secret Leia.
Secret Leia. We like to call it.
Everybody's got to have a Leia, right?
Yeah.
And he's so generous, with that, and then we have
we have a new
we have a new member now. We have a new drummer.
We summoned from the underground, Bones Ward.
Oh wow.
Bones Ward, and he was actually a part of the Freedom Fighters, and you know where the Freedom Fighters come from, don't you?
Oh yes. Now let me ask you guys.
We recruited him from that.
Yeah. Was there an audition for him, or like did you try out a couple people, or did you? How did you find him?
Yeah, we just knew this mate was going to be the one.
Yeah.
You just know.
Yeah.
Yeah, we summoned him. We wanted our drummer prior had some family obligations, and of course we wish him the very best. He was Skull Ward, and he was just fantastic, and a very, very dear friend of ours, and will always be. And
Skull Ward,
he had to stay back. He had to stay back on Earth.
Bones Ward learned that there was the need for all timing, and he stepped up and said, "I want to be your mate. I want to be your timing. I want to be your drummer."
Oh, that's great. The band. So the band gets to play on. Now, you guys mentioned you have a show coming up at the Whiskey. As far as you know, is there any chance that might be canceled or not at this point?
We hope not.
No, the reason I ask is everything's being locked down again, and there's that unfortunate of not knowing. But you haven't heard anything at this point, right?
Well, let's hope we can fumigate everybody. Spray some radon on something, or Lysol on everywhere.
Or at least
just spray Lysol everywhere, and everybody will be fine. We'll have masks.
Yeah. See, that's what I was gonna say. Go and buy a mask. Support the band in their efforts.
Look the mask. Wear your Black Sabbath mask.
Let me touch upon this right now, because
She's about to get
as far as the masks go, some people believe it protects them, and some people feel it suffocates them. So there's two schools of thought regarding the mask, and we're not political in any shape or form.
I understand. Yeah, I will say this. I only bring it up because like I said, I'm a big supporter of live entertainment, and kind of what we were discussing earlier is. I do kind of think you do what you got to do to be safe, but I do think it's a little unfortunate that working musicians like you guys yourself, it's been so hard this year for a lot of bands to get out there and do their thing, and I was starting to get a little bit of an upbeat feeling, because like even where I live in Long Beach, there's a club down here called the Gas Lamp. It's not a huge club, but they were starting to do things where.
Love to play that one.
We haven't played that place yet. Maybe they'll contact us after this.
But I'll tell you what I was getting ready to say is I was getting they were starting to do this little tiny club down here in Long Beach where the band could go inside the club. People aren't allowed to be inside the club with the band, but then they would put like a big movie screen outside, and you could watch the band like out in the parking lot, and they're having movie nights and stuff like that. And I thought for people not being able to get out of the house too much, that's a cool thing to do, but then they're shutting that down too, so we'll see. But I just like the thought that there's a possibility that bands can still find ways to get out there and play.
Well, you've got no choice. You've got no choice. But one of the things I wanted to touch upon, and it involves for them. People need to build their immune system.
Yeah.
Just build your immune system, and you won't have all this fear.
Yeah.
Because if you build your immune system, and even if you have a compromised immune system, you still could build your immune system, and that is the key. That's the key. I mean, what? Why would you just want to hide?
I'm with you. I mean, I think at some point you got to start living a little. You got to get out of the house.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But let me say this. drive-in concerts now. People can actually sit in their cars or sit out of their cars and watch the show. Yeah. We visited the friend, watched his band play at one of the drive-in concerts. It was a lovely experience.
You know, Skull Buttler, I gotta tell you, again, I love. That's one of the things one of the reasons I'm such a huge supporter of a tribute band scene, because unlike a lot of original bands, I mean, nothing against original bands, but a lot of those bands, you know, they're not really supportive of one another. They're more in competition with another. I love that attitude where you said, you know, we didn't see another one of our friends play in his band, and man, we were there for him. I love that, you know. That's the attitude that has to be there.
Absolutely, and that's another thing about our particular band is we support everybody, all tribute bands, any of the Black Sabbath tribute bands. We're very
They embrace that.
They're amazing. There's also Under the Sun. There's also Ozzy Train.
Well, this time we played for Ozzy's birthday celebration.
And there were
tribute band.
There were a lot of Ozzy.
A lot of Aussies walking around. In fact, at one point I found myself surrounded by Aussies.
Yeah, and there's even a couple Ozzy. There's even a couple Ozzy tributes where they play like a combination of Ozzy era Sabbath and then the solo stuff. So, you know, you got bands that are doing that, and that's pretty cool.
Crowley and Elsmania.
Yeah. Those are like the two premier ones now. How big a fan are you guys of Ozzy solo stuff?
I love Ozzy solo stuff, Randy.
I love it.
My God, Randy's the best.
Yeah, you know,
Ozzy's a genius.
You know, and what's interesting about Ozzy is because it's his solo music, of course, you know, he gets songwriting credit, but if you look at the guys that he's played with over years, I mean, these are all, you name anybody, like Randy Rhoads, Jakey Lee, you know, Gus G, Zach Wild, they're all great songwriters in their own, you know, in their own right. So he's one of these guys that surrounds himself with like very talented people, you know, and that's what you need to be, successful. But it's amazing when you look at a guy like Randy Rhoads, when you think that he just did those two Ozzy albums, and man, look at the huge legacy, look at the huge fan base that guy has built, you know, just since his death. You know, it's very unfortunate, but I mean, with just two albums, look at the influence he's had.
Well, and from what I understood was Ozzy and Randy were great friends.
Oh yeah,
They took together like two peas in a pod. What I wanted to say is when you were talking about Zach Wild, we have a dear friend. His name is Johnny Blade, and he plays in Osmania.
Oh, okay.
And we did a show at a place called Wisdom, LA, and it was so fabulous. It's underneath these domes, and you're immersed in 3D video.
Oh wow.
And yes, and Johnny Blade played with us. He was on the stage with us for a couple of songs, and it was great fun.
In our performance, we called him the Wild.
We called him the Wild.
Wow. I love that. Well,
it was a lot of fun.
At our one-time performance of the Wizard, we in fact had a wizard play the harmonica for that song, and the performance was fabulous as well.
Well, so let me ask you guys before we wrap this up today, are you involved with any other bands or projects you want to let the people know about before we wrap this up?
Well, of course, in my other life, so, you know, I've had albums and credits in my life, so I've got to sell me records, you know.
Oh, wow.
From the band, the Rouse Band, with Joey Mullen of Badfinger.
Oh, wow.
So you just got to sell me records out there, so you can find the Rouse Band, you can check their stuff out. But you got me with Black Sabbath now, and then we've got our cover band, SoCal Records, that we do on the side when we want to play the small pubs and just around town.
Wow, what more do you want? Okay, that's great. Now, I really enjoyed talking to you guys today. Like I said, when I get done talking to you, I'm going to send the interview off for the guy to post it, and it'll probably be up in the next week or so. So I'll let you know once it gets posted. You can post it on your site if you like, so people can check it out. And I would like to stay in touch, you know, because I mean, I'm really impressed with everything you guys said today, and maybe you could be kind of like my Black Sabbath kind of folks whenever we have something to talk about related to Sabbath or Ozzy or even Dio.
Oh, that would be lovely.
Well, thank you for that.
Okay.
It'd be very much an honor.
Okay, thanks. Thanks. I'll let you guys know in the interview post. Thanks and you have a good rest of the day.
You
Thanks,
well.
Hunter.
Bye-bye.
Be well. Stay out of hell.
You too. Yeah. Wow. I like that.